Perfect. So yeah, thanks a lot for all of those fantastic introductions. We've got a vast range of experiences. Some people doing masters, some people finished, some people doing bachelors, still studying, and really, really in-depth experiences. So I'm really looking forward to the sharing of the discussion. And yeah, so a lot of people from agri-food systems. So there should be a rich discussion around that and sustainable agriculture, climate resilience, biodiversity. Yeah, so as well, we will share some more information about the World Food Forum. As I mentioned afterwards, we do have opportunities about the education, around the education track as well. And as Josephina mentioned, as you saw in some of the videos, a lot of UNCC Learn courses, and we'll have different packages as well afterwards that can obviously continue on your learning, your work as well. But we'll mention all of that towards the end. But now I think what we'd like to do is maybe get into the first discussion. So just so that we're all on the same page, that we're all sort of aware, but I know we've all got really sort of in-depth experience related to all of these topics. But if anybody would like to provide what they think, just a quick synopsis of agri-food systems are for the rest of the group, please do feel free. So just 1 minute of what is an agri-food system. So if anybody would like to sort of apply that introduction for everybody, please raise your hand and we'll come to you for the introduction. If not, I can provide. Okay. Okay, so what we just so yeah, okay, we've got two. So we got I think Gansam was up first. So Gansam, if you want to give one quick introduction, so not necessarily about your own work, but just what is agri-food systems, then we'll start from there. So over to you, Gansam. Unfortunately, we can't hear you. Are you still there? And try unmute again. Let's see if we can hear you. Okay, and maybe I might come to Adrita. And Gansham, hopefully we can get you involved in the discussion. But Adrita, we'll come to you for just an overview of what agri-food systems are.
Thank you. So as far as my understanding is, so the agri-food systems, they're mostly related to the agricultural sector for the primary production for the food. So this is an important sector because like they ensure the food security of the region, and in some cases they can also include all those post-harvesting link. So that's what I had to share. Thank you.
Perfect. So yeah, so main keywords are there: food security. So from my understanding as well, and there's probably people here with more experience. So looking forward to hearing from them. But how do we get our food from the farm to the table? Everything that's involved in that process, and from planting the seeds, the soil, how we maintain the soil, to how it comes in your supermarket, your local market, wherever you get it from, if you farm yourself. I know we've got farmers here as well. So everything that's involved in them, even the emissions that are caused, some of the pesticides, anything that's put in and then also taken out involves our agri-food systems. So we've got about 20 minutes now for this discussion. So as I mentioned, if you want to contribute, please raise your hand. What we're hoping to hear and share is your own experience. How is agri-food systems, how are agri-food systems affected in your country? And maybe what are some solutions or actions, local actions that you're taking to improve the situation or to help others to understand agri-food systems in your area. So we'll go with a raised hand system, and then I'll just call on people by order. So over to you. And if you want to put messages into chat, please do so. So over to you. Abid, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, so I will start with the agri-food system. What is it? And after that, I will discuss little bit the climate change in my community or similar. So issue. So actually, agri-food system is a bound by, it's encompass of food production, consumption, and also harvesting, product, and transportation, storage, and consumption, uh, marketing, economics, land use, everything. And so it's a encompassed of different system, not only the food or the crop productions. From crop production to the marketing, consumption, and also land use, soil use, everything is interconnected. So it's a vast area, agro-food system, and also it's not only include the food production, non-food, non-agricultural food production also included in this agro-food system. And regarding agro-food system and its effect, climate change effect in Bangladesh, what I find out that Bangladesh is one of the agricultural country. We are dependent, very much dependent our economy on the agriculture sector. Although recent year, what happening, the agricultural goods price is so increased. Although you say all over the world it increased, but as agricultural country, we don't have to face the scarcity or lack of the food. So what is happening every year? If we give example for my villagers, we produce rice, fish. Actually, agro-food system or agro-food system is not only the production of crop. We have to understand it's also include the forestry, also the livestock, fisheries, and other sector, agriculture and related science, biodiversity also. So every year flood is happening in my village, and not only my village, all over the Bangladesh. Especially last year, what happened? One of the great, one of the long-lasting and very severe flood happened in one part of the Bangladesh. So during that time, lots of crop. It was the peak harvesting time. So lots of crops and others, agriculture, non-agricultural products, and others related sciences products became destroyed by the flood. So not only the flood, we face cyclones, and for that reason, we are facing lack of food in our table. So it has the interconnection, and this interconnection goes to the market economy. It drag down our economy. So and also especially the people who are very marginalized or local, they are facing enormous difficulties to cope up with this sudden natural calamities. So yeah, we have to think about solutions. So I would like to listen from all of you. What would be the solution to cope up with this natural calamities to make our agro-food system sustainable in our respective countries? So over to you, Hussein.
Great. Yeah, thanks. So I'm hearing a lot of your economy is tied to agri-food systems with increase in natural disasters. That's going to have a big impact. But yeah, question posed as well by a bid there. So what are some of the solutions? So obviously that's something that we can think of, or from your perspectives, what are you doing as well? So yeah, just be mindful of time as well. So we've got about 15 minutes left in this section. So hopefully get everybody in this section. So Adrita, I see your hand up next. So over to you.
Yeah, thank you. So for me, what I feel is that, like Abid, he mentioned about this flood system. So even in here, in my locality here, the weather changes are very drastic now. We are seeing shifts in the weather. There's floods, there's droughts. So in recent years, there has been many cases of flood in my region, and many crop systems, they have been damaged. And there are some villages who primarily their economy depends primarily on their harvest. So in those cases, because of this, they've lost their harvest, and there has been also many reported cases of farmer suicide for this. So as far as indirectly and directly, this climate change has been affecting the food security a lot. And like you mentioned, the prices have increased in recent times. So yes, that's the scenario in here. And even as I speak now, in these few months, in the last few years, this shift in these problems have been a lot. So yes, I also look forward to listening to some of these practices that can make the system sustainable. So thank you, and I like to listen to the others as well.
Yeah, thanks a lot both for those contributions so far. And yeah, obviously not just an economic issue, but also a health, obviously a health issue, but a well-being issue as well, and how that's all connected. So thanks a lot for sharing. Asimira, it's over to you.
Okay, thank you. So to talk about the agri-food systems, on my side, I understand it as a linkages, the enterprise linkage, like interlinked. They're interlinked. We are looking at forestry, we are looking at fisheries, we are looking at farming. Then we're also looking at household, where you're staying. Then you have to do the farming, you have to do livestock, you have to do the fishery as well. So here we are looking at how we can produce food in a more sustainable way, putting in mind the social environment in the ecosystem. So here we are looking at which CSA practices, that is climate smart agricultural practices, we are putting in place to ensure that we are trying to promote climate food in a sustainable way, where people are going to still produce more food using the same land that they own, the same acres of land that they own, for the growing population, to ensure there is food security. And here, if we are looking at interlinking the crops and livestock, we are looking at how we can use the crop, the wastes from animals, that is the manure, how we can use it to apply it on our gardens as compost, as organic manure, but though not applying it directly, because there is methane, which is leads to green gas, which results into global warming. And then there is the nitrous oxide, which comes up from the blanket fertilizer application. That is why you're applying the fertilizer on your garden without knowing what nutrients are really needed for your garden. Or I think to achieve this, we need to promote the soil testing, so that before planting, before doing anything on your gardens, we need to do the soil testing. You know which nutrients are missing in your soil, so that you can buy the right fertilizers and you apply on your gardens, so that we can reduce on the nitrous oxide, which leads to green gas and global warming. And then another thing that we have to look at is the carbon dioxide. You see, when we do the mechanization, where we are just opening up the land every time we are opening up the land, we are going to plant, we open up the land widely, where we are doing the soil disturbance. I think here we would look at do minimum tillage, where you're just going to create holes where you're going to put a seed, and not doing the mechanization, which is going to let the carbon dioxide go out and to cause the global warming effects. And as well, I think we would also look at how we maintain our soil, still on soil, keeping the soil health, because when we are doing the mechanization, we are killing the microorganisms in the soils. We are also killing the microorganisms in the soils that would help us to aerate the soil, in soil aeration, that will help us to decompose the manure that we apply on our gardens. And to achieve this as well, I think we would also look at planting the cover crops, so that
we got
yes.
one more. Sorry, Asmira, just not to cut you off, but I'm just conscious of time, because we do have 7 minutes left and we've got another 5 people to contribute. So just if there's one word, because I heard a couple of solutions, I'll give you a final word. What are maybe the solutions that you're proposing? Because I'm hearing soil testing, minimum tillage, and you were mentioning another. So just quickly, last word, and then we'll pass on to the next person.
Okay, I think to look at the agri-food systems, we need to also look at mainly the practices we are applying. What can we do better to ensure the food security? What can we do better to ensure that we are producing for the growing population using the land that we have? I think mainly that's what I'm talking about.
Perfect. And yeah, like I said, I did hear some solutions there, which is great. So looking forward to hearing what other people are thinking. And soil testing, very important. And obviously minimum tillage, less mechanization. So thanks a lot, Samira and Honorina or Yunga. It's over to you.
Okay, thank you. I think what is happening in Cameroon has already it cut across because much has been said by Asimire, which is also what is happening in Cameroon, where we have agriculture is a backbone of Cameroon's economy because especially in rural areas where it provides livelihood, also income, employment, and also food security to the rural people. So we have so many challenges that the rural people are facing. We have like social norms, and we also have a lack of access to extension services. And also how do we make agricultural products produced to be climate resistant? So this is really something that is it's a big challenge in Cameroon because there has been reports of reduced crop yields and productivity due to climate change. This is because of the changing patterns in weather, which has also decreased or declined in the production of staple foods such as maize, beans, and potato. And it has also led to the increase and prevalence of pests and diseases, such as especially Cameroon, which is very agricultural, and we rely on agriculture for exportation. So we have especially cocoa and also cassava at the household level. So we have pests such as cocoa swollen short viruses. These are viruses that are spreading rapidly, and also black pod diseases, which is very, very difficult to control. And we are still finding like means or solutions to this. Also, we also have issues of how do we introduce climate resistant crops, especially when it comes to rural areas that are so embedded on social norms, where it's the practice is kind of difficult to shift them from what they already know to introducing new technology and new crops. These are not new crops, but they are just crops that have been regenerated to be climate resistant. Mm-hmm. So yeah, these are some of the challenges that I would really like to hear your contributions and how we can bypass this. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Yunga. And one thing that is obviously important to mention now is that hopefully we'll be able to continue discussions maybe offline as well afterwards if you're interested. And then because there's a lot of resources that are going to be shared here and people are mentioning really, really important information. So obviously compiling all of these resources afterwards and sharing them with everybody, we'll look forward to doing as well. But yeah, just noting some social norms and with ourselves, with Yunga, something that we try and address is behavioral change in a lot of our activities and social norms and overcoming barriers that might be that might come along with these is something quite important. So something well noted as well that you mentioned there, Yunga. So yeah, we've got 3 minutes left for this session. Might maybe go a little bit, give an extra 5 minutes because I know there's a big background in agri-food systems here, and it's really interesting conversation. So just be mindful of time. But Nasasira, it's over to you.
Thank you, the moderator. I hope everyone can hear me. Like you have said, I will be so much minding about time. I would like to share 2 experiences that I've passed through and I'm still passing through and learning from these experiences. Like I said, I'm from Uganda, which is a country that entirely depends on agriculture. And the first challenge I've faced is landslides as a result of climate change in some hill areas. We have faced landslides that have led to massive destruction of croplands and leading to people having no food on their tables at all. And one of the solutions me and my colleagues have tried to research about indigenous trees that can be used to control soil erosion in these areas. And we have a manuscript that is under review and yet to be published. Maybe all of us here shall be able to have a look at this manuscript after publication. And currently we are advising these people to use these trees that we have advised them to use, so that they can control landslides and soil erosion, so that they can have food on their table in the face of climate change. The second challenge is pollution, especially in the cities, due to waste management. This pollution, in one way or the other, leads to production of greenhouse gases, and which these gases accelerate climate change. And one of the solutions we have found, and that though it is still under practice, we are trying to recycle organic waste into fertilizers, so that we can reduce pollution, at the same time produce fertilizers for our farmers in rural areas or in rural communities, of which these fertilizers are better than these synthetic or factory made fertilizers, because we have done laboratory tests and we have seen that they can stay longer in the soil compared to this inorganic fertilizers. So those are the two challenges that are faced and the two solutions that have efficiently worked on. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Nasasira. And yeah, I mean, even so here, like nature-based solutions there towards landslides, and obviously the use of man-made fertilizers, and then something that I think was mentioned by Asamira or Yunga, and obviously sort of interlinking crops, and maybe to avoid the use of fertilizers is really, really good to hear. So it's good to hear that solution there. So Gansham, it's up to you next. And yeah, just be mindful of time. We've got another 5 minutes here, but hoping to get Kurnia Sandy and Emmanuel in as well.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Oisin. So according to me, agri-food system for me is a network that links all the actors, processes, inputs, and all the outputs focused on feeding us. So it starts from seeds to ready to eat meal, and even after that. So in context of Nepal, agriculture is a crucial sector of our economy, employing over 66% population, and it contributes towards 33% GDP. But the sector is facing numerous challenges, as our friend said: climate change, land degradation, water scarcity, and low productivity as well. Even climate change has devastatingly affecting our agri-food system. So we can see erratic rainfall patterns, frequent droughts, floods, landslide, and all of these problems are increasing every year, every day. So even Nepal is full of Himalayas and mountains. So the melting of glaciers in the Himalayas, which is a major source of water for agriculture, has also resulted in water scarcity in some part of the Nepal. So while discussing about all of these things, so I can say a few approaches or a few initiatives that Nepal has taken, or we should take, or all of us should take. So first thing is, we are concerning about sustainable farming, how we can go towards sustainability, or how we can go towards the indigenous side. And even we have lots of indigenous and local food products that are not used yet, but we can use them, and we can feed the people, and we can channelize them, we can commercialize them. And another part is that in Nepal, most of the farmers are uneducated, and the educated people are either they are working office desk job, or they are in foreign employment. So whoever is the left in the village, they are all uneducated. So we have to empower them. We have to educate them how to use pesticide, how to use sustainable farming, and how we can go towards more sustainability. And besides that, as a food technologist, I have been working with food industry, and I'm currently trying to research to found a company based on circular economy. I'm trying to establish a company that produces healthy flour from waste grains that comes from bread industries. So we have to educate food industries as well, how we can reduce the food waste or byproducts, so that we can use them either in feed or food, or we can make something that is valuable to our society or environment.
Mm, fantastic, Kancham. And just from the introductions of everybody else, I know there's some people who have established some foundations and some companies here. So obviously afterwards, it'd be great to see what connections or what support you might be able to give to Kancham in setting up his own company and foundation. So hopefully we can see some of those connections there. Kurnia Sandy, over
Yes.
to you. Thanks a lot. And yeah, Emmanuel, you're going to be last in this section. So yeah, over to you, Kurnia Sandy.
Okay, thank you for time. And in my country, in Indonesia, about agri-food system transformation, we know the Indonesian is part of the agriculture country, and then in the class of the pandemic phase is agriculture is positive though it's I think good to help in the pandemic. And then in agri-food system in my country, we have to two aspect. In the first, we try to smart farming with a greenhouse or the sensor open land. Some farmer apply the it's smart farming. And the second is in my country, um, up in my country applying to organic agriculture, because we have the local wisdom to support how to problem solve in the climate change. And then agriculture, we in the organic more benefit sustainable agriculture, and in my farmer group support it and to create good environment, and we share education to farmer regeneration in my country. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Kurnia Sandy. And yeah, education mentioned from Gansham, Kurnia Sandy, really, really important empowerment as well. And hopefully we can share some resources on how we do that as well afterwards. So Emmanuel, you're the last in the agri-food systems transformation. If you want, we're going to move into the biodiversity loss section next. So if there's a link that you can see between the two, what you're doing between agri-food systems and biodiversity loss, please introduce that, and then we can introduce the next section through yourself. So over to you, Emmanuel.
Okay, thanks very much. In my country here in Sierra Leone, we rely heavily on agriculture because we have vast area of land for agricultural purposes. But even as that, percent of that has been utilized because majority of the farmers here rely mostly on subsistence farming, which is small scale farming here. So one of the solutions that has been implemented or recent by the government is to have farm working groups and provide seeds. But even as that, again, we have been dealt with as well, are experiencing now climate change, late rainy season. As it is now, we are supposed to start, but that has not been the case. As it is now, here in the city, we have just experienced just once rainfall, and that's not
We have lost your sound, Emmanuel. If you can still hear us, hopefully. We heard you. There's a lack of rainfall was the last thing I've heard.
transport sector here again. So that again is another area that is really posing problem to food security, which is responsible for the increase in hunger and that of malnutrition among children. But again, that is something that the government is and also private sectors are working on to address, but it's really challenging. On biodiversity, let me just go to biodiversity now. As we all know, we are experiencing heavy loss in that of biodiversity sector. And in talking on that area, we have like forestry, wildlife. So one of the key challenge here that we are faced with is mining. Mining as Sierra Leone, one, let me say, of our key source of income is that of mining. And based on the uncontrolled mining activities that has been taking place in our country, most communities are now moving away from taking care of the environment and engaging in ruthless mining activities, exposing the community. Like for instance, I have a case study of one city here, which is Kono. Kono is the center of mining activities, which, let me say, every mineral activities is mostly done there. The community of late have started experiencing what we call earthshake, although we will not call it earthquake, but earthshake, yeah, because it is not to the extent of earthquake. So based on that, we have started experiencing series of problems like that in our country. And if things are not done to address issues, we are going to continue experiencing. As we all know, the history of our country is Sierra Lower, which is based on Lion Mountain. Lion Mountain. But I will tell you that for the past years, I've never seen a lion here in my country. A lion here in my country. So most of these animals are not easy to see in our country because of the ruthless activities that is being taking place, which has led to deforestation. So I will just stop here because of time. If there is any other platform, then more will come. But for the sake of time, I will stop here now.
Great. Thank you, Emmanuel, and good introduction then as well to the biodiversity loss section. So yeah, noting mining is one of the most destructive activities, but in terms of solutions, what you did mention is government and private partnerships as well. And interested to hear how those might be looked after or thought about in each of your own countries. So yeah, moving on. What would be good as well as we move forward is, focusing on solutions as well. What are the solutions? Because we've heard throughout the agri-food systems, there's a lot of solutions being discussed and shared. So yeah, focus on solutions, giving an overview of the context. So if there's anybody that wants to jump in on the biodiversity loss, so we heard some mining obviously have an effect on sort of the biodiversity being the variety of all living things on life on Earth, and obviously affecting some larger mammals. In your case of Sierra Leone, and in Emmanuel's case. So I've got first hand up from Nasasira. I don't know if that was from the previous section, but Nasasira, do you want to jump in on biodiversity loss?
Yes, I would like to make a contribution to biodiversity loss. Like I introduced myself, I did an undergraduate study in forestry science, and right now I'm concluding with a master's in natural resource conservation. So I face a very, very huge challenge in biodiversity loss, and specifically, I want to talk about deforestation in Uganda. Uganda is a country that has some electric power dams, but it is unfortunate that our electricity is the second most expensive in the world. So people have the only alternative of cutting trees as the source of fuel. Gas here is very expensive and people cannot use it for cooking. So the only alternative is to go to forests and cut them and to produce firewood. So it has been a big challenge, and most of our forests are being degraded because if we look at the trend, like from 1990 to present, over 70% of the forests have been cut down. So we have very, very few forest cover still remaining in Uganda. But we have tried to come up with some solutions as private enterprises, not the government. I have to be very specific to that. Like for my case, I'm researching about medicinal plants. I'm trying to teach people the importance of these trees. They are not cut. I'm trying these trees, they will not get medicine as well as these other aspects of the environment are affected. Their food will be affected because there will be no rainfall. And the other thing, I'm trying to teach people how to use the briquettes as alternative sources of fuel. I don't know if everyone here is conversant with the term briquettes. Briquettes can be manufactured from waste, and they can be used as charcoal. Yeah, they look like charcoal and they can be used as charcoal instead of cutting down trees. And the other thing we are trying to do is put up private tree nurseries so that we can empower local communities to give them free tree seedlings. They can plant these trees and reduce on the impact on these other natural forests, because these natural forests are really fading away. So we are trying to put up some tree nurseries to reduce the pressure on these natural forests. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Nasasira. And interesting, medicinal plants side of biodiversity loss is something that is quite maybe technical and specific that everybody here, I don't know if the experience is, but mightn't have much experience in. I know myself, I don't. So be interested to hear more about resources related to medicinal plants, and obviously the use of fuel and sort of heating alternatives instead of burning charcoal, which can be quite damaging to the environment, but also people's health as well. So thanks a lot for sharing that. And I know there are some more people with forestry experience here. So obviously deforestation, and that could be touched on. But thanks a lot, Nasasira. Asamira, over to you.
Oh, thank you so much. So I'm going to add on what Perfect has said, since we are from the same country and actually we are facing the same challenges. So with biodiversity, mainly I'm going to look at the biodiversity loss in the soil, as well as bringing in the crops and different species. So with the soil, what I think is leading to the loss, as I talked about agri-food systems, where I talked about the mechanization, soil disturbance, and I believe that all that also contributes to the biodiversity loss in the soils. Because if we are doing mechanization, we are doing deforestation, we are cutting down trees. Actually, if you're to take an example in Uganda here, if you're to go to the northern part of Uganda and you're to buy charcoal, it will be cheaper. You find you're buying a sack at 20,000. But if you're to go to the western part, you find that same sack, you're buying it at 100 or 150, meaning that people in the northern part, they are really cutting down trees. So here we have to look at how can we stop this? How can we create awareness? How can we teach these people that cutting down trees is going to lead to climate issues and which will affect them as people in this place. So, and this also disturbs the soil health, the root health as well. And here you're killing the microorganisms in the soils as well. You're killing the earthworms that would help in aeration. And from my side, I think if we are to address this challenge of biodiversity loss, mainly with the soils and the crops that we are losing, because long time ago, we used to have different species that right now you cannot find in Uganda. If you are looking for a certain tree, they will tell you it is no longer here. They cut it off and you can no longer access it. So how to ensure that we bring on these species again? We don't look at ourselves losing the species and the soils. We can no longer plant these crops and we have the high yields that we used to get. I think we should look at promoting. We teach these people, even the youth, the old women, we need to teach them that cut a tree and plant another tree. We can promote agroforestry. We can say, if you're planting your crops, please plant the crops, but put trees align like around your garden so that it can help in maybe providing shade for your crops, provide shade when the heavy rains, they're not washed away. And then minimum tillage as well. I will still emphasize on this because yes, you're promoting climate smart agriculture for these farmers to adopt too, but you don't know that as you tell them to use mechanization, you're also leading to climate issues where you're going to tell them use mechanization to reduce on the labor costs, maybe because if the time taken on the farm, you're also leading to climate issues, because here, if you're disturbing the soil, then how will the crops grow healthy when you're killing the microorganisms that are supposed to be helping in decomposition of the manure that you're putting on your garden? Then we can also look at, yes, you're promoting climate smart agricultural practices. Here you're saying use agro inputs like fertilizers, chemicals in case of pests and diseases. But I think we need to promote it, but as well tell them the side effects, where we need to tell them that only spray, maybe if you think, if there is a drought and you think pests are more in the dry spell, you need to spray like 2 weeks after planting, or if it is rainy season, expected rains, many pests that's when they're there. You need to maybe spray after this time. Then also, I think we need to promote the minimum use of agrochemicals on our gardens to make sure that we promote the biodiversity, we don't lose the nutrients in the soils, and even the pollinators that would help us to pollinate different crops, because as you're spraying, you're killing our pollinators, you're killing the bees. So at that point, that fertilization will not take place and you will not get the fruits that you need to eat. Then also indiscriminate use of pesticides. I think it is relating with the spraying. Yeah, the pesticides, every time you're seeing an insect you want to spray, you want to use the pesticides that are not even qualified or not the right for those pests. So I think we need to educate the smallholder farmers, everyone, create that awareness and have trainings, teach them and tell them if it is this kind of a pest, you need to use this kind of a pesticide, but not that you're going to use any pesticide at any time. So I think that's all I can talk about biodiversity.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing, thanks a lot, Samira. What I'm hearing a lot is that you've got some experience in soils, which is something that I think is really, really important and is often overlooked in our fight against biodiversity loss and climate change, and even agri-food systems. So that connection between all of them. I'm hearing a lot on forestry as well, and sort of how we can sort of restore ecosystems and some solutions there. So I know, Abid, you did mention that we do have a lot of work that we're doing ourselves through Younga and even through UNESCO on ecosystem restoration and the UN decade. So yeah, over to you, Abid, on biodiversity loss. Thanks a lot, Samir.
You're welcome.
So thank you. I just want to add a few things regarding biodiversity. I just want to remember everyone that we have just recently faced one of the biggest challenges of the human in the history of the human, COVID-19. So why it's happened? It's happened due to the distraction or the degradation of the biodiversity. So the more we will degrade the biodiversity or ecosystem, whether it's the inland, polar ecosystem, agriculture ecosystem, forest ecosystem, or coastal marine ecosystem, or agriculture ecosystem, there are different types of ecosystem. Whatever it is, we will degrade them or we will destroy them. The more consequences, the more impact we will get. So we have to be conserve them. So how we have to conserve them? We are a human being. We have like feelings, everything, 5 senses. And regarding the biodiversity, like tree also a living thing. And all the animals, they are also living thing. They are very sensitive to the temperature rising, temperature falling, and also like the drought, everything. They are also sensitive with these weather effect, weather issue. So we have to consider them, how they can survive beside our survival. So for that, we need more research and from the academia, and also we need engage multi-stakeholder. What I mean, like government. Actually, the government, they are not concerned. If I give example, my lab mate right now, she is from Brazil, but the Brazil, one of the top biodiversity country in the world, but they're destroying it. And for that, the heart of the world, Amazon is destroying. That's why the consequences we are getting. Not only the Brazil, we are seeing that China, India, Indonesia, they are also like one of the top 10 or 5 biodiversity country, but we don't care about them. We are just care about ourselves. We don't care about our future. So we are destroying this, and so we have to our generations, and also we have to work with the expert, whether it's the academia, government, intergovernmental organizations, and also we have to empower to conserve it. And if I give an example of successful biodiversity or ecosystem conservation, then definitely I will say South Korea name, because also China name, they did a good example in this regard. Right now, the UN decade of ecosystem restoration is going on. So the other country has a good lesson from this developed country, how they adopt within a very short period of time, 30 years or 50 years. They like from zero to the like top conserver of the biodiversity in the world. We have a lot of things to learn. So I give all my colleagues today to just make a question that just starts how the top developed country, they conserve their biodiversity, and learn from them and implement it in your country. Over to you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Abid. And I know Adrita, Gansham, and currently Sandy and Rufaro, you've got your hands up, but I just want to welcome Mitin, who's just after joining us. So Mitin, if you want to briefly introduce yourself, and if you got a quick word on biodiversity loss. We are conscious of time and we're running a little bit behind, so I'll pass back over the floor to everybody else. But Mitin, over to you for a quick introduction to everybody, and you're very welcome.
Good morning to everyone. I guess it's morning here in Cameroon. I'm meeting Sandrine here, a final year student in environmental engineering, and I'm from the Northwest region of Cameroon. And I'm very grateful and happy to be here and talking about biodiversity loss. It's one of the concepts that I really find is so peculiar, because in my community, to be precise, it's clear there's a lot of biodiversity loss caused by farmers. And what is our intention? The intention is for them to increase productivity. So they tend to burn farmlands, right? They burn the farmlands with the intention of increasing fertility. Because when I was growing up, I remember when we go to the farm with my grandmom, there's this particular insects that we used to see in the soil, but nowadays you don't find them. That's biodiversity loss. You don't find them again. But when you want to explain this thing to these farmers, they don't really understand you, because they have little knowledge concerning this concept, so they'll not really understand. So it's really challenging fighting biodiversity loss in a community where many people see environmental concepts or climate related concepts as a myth. You just say that no, someone even told me I've gone to that sky, I've come back, you want to tell us we have been doing this for years. So they don't even believe what you are saying. So it's really, really challenging, and I'm happy to be here, and I'm hoping to learn a lot and connect with a lot of people. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Mitin, and yeah, obviously sharing different perspectives on what are some of the challenges, but also some of the solutions. And I heard sort of empowering farmers and sort of informing them of different techniques, which we already have heard some from this conversation, and hopefully we'll share some more information for everybody afterwards. But yeah, being conscious of time, we're going to move on to our sustainable production and sustainable consumption and production session. So we've got another 25 minutes here. But if you want to have a quick word on the connection maybe between biodiversity loss, sustainable consumption and production, or between agri-food systems, please do. Okay, Gansham, I see you might want to make an urgent something quick, but yeah, over to you, Gansham, and then we'll go back to, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Wilson, once again. So I would like to just add one thing here, how we are maintaining the biodiversity loss here in Nepal is one of the main solutions that Nepal has taken is that we have approach of handovering the forest to the community. It has been almost a decade. Before that, the government was taking care of the forest, but at that time there was lots of deforestation, forest firing. Even there was random cattle grazing. But nowadays, people or local communities are protecting the forest and they are using it wisely. So giving or handovering the forest to community can be one of the best approaches to your countries as well. So I just wanted to add this solution to this point.
Yeah, perfect. And also, yeah, just to come back as well to a bid's point on the connection between COVID-19 and biodiversity loss, I think that's really quite important as well, and sort of those interlinkages. Adrita, I did see your hand up before Kunya Sandy and then went off, but Adrita, was there something that you wanted to contribute as well, maybe linking biodiversity loss and sustainable consumption and production? I'll come to you first and then we'll go back to Kurnia Sandy. So Adrita, if there's something you want to say.
Okay, thank you for time.
Sorry,
And yeah,
Kearney, sorry. We'll go to Adrita because she did have her hand up first and then she turned it off. So we'll go to Adrita and then we'll come to you, if that's all right.
Thank you so much. Yes, I raised up my hand, but due to some issue by mistake, I lowered it. So yeah, thank you for noticing that. So I just wanted to add to the biodiversity loss part about this concern of invasive plant species, which are now of great concern here in our country because they have been rapidly spreading over agricultural systems and wetlands and wildlife habitats. So because of these invasive plants, as much as the agricultural systems are also being affected, they are also affecting this wildlife, mostly because these animals that feed on these herbs naturally, they are all being replaced, and this indirectly is also causing these human man conflicts in our region, because of their biodiversity loss and while there's habitat destruction, they are coming to the nearby villages and they are eating away the paddy fields of those villages. So that is also causing a problem into the agricultural system or those villages which are primarily based on these the productions. And in recent times now, there has been lots of research going on about these invasive plant species, and there have been practices of manual uprooting and finding out different solutions to these problems. So yeah, I just wanted to add that part, that there also needs to be research done on these exotic plant species which are rapidly replacing the native biodiversity and causing the biodiversity loss, which is also affecting the wildlife, then causing the human-man conflicts and in turn affecting the farming system. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And one really important point, invasive species and how much of an impact invasive species have on biodiversity loss. I think it's really important, and obviously conflict as well. So thanks a lot for those points. Good to be aware of, and obviously we'll share information, like I said, afterwards. Kurnia Sandy, over to you.
okay, thanks for your time. And I think biodiversity issue is very important to live to long live in the world. And in my country, we keep the biodiversity with local wisdom, because in my country have some local wisdom can to keep biodiversity. For example, we farming with the traditional, and we less to the pesticides in the kimia. And in my opinion, we can save the near surrounding area. For example, we can to use chemical too low, use chemical pesticide, and then relates opinion from the another people in here. And about the sustainable consumption and production, I think the organic agriculture is very good to support the sustainable agriculture. I think like that. Thank you.
Great, thanks a lot. And yeah, I know there's obviously you've got first-hand experience with agriculture and farming, so it's really good to hear your perspective, and other people are really experienced here. And obviously the use of pesticides and how they can be reduced or minimized or changed with something else. So yeah, we've got 15 minutes here. So like I mentioned, moving on to that sustainable consumption production conversation, what that means, and maybe some tips or experience that we have in improving our own sustainable consumption and production, will sort of focus the next one. So being mindful of time. Afterwards as well, we're going to come to sort of the final words from everybody, and maybe recapping on what everybody has said, and then thinking of a pledge, something that we can all contribute, pledge to each other in a local action that has maybe been inspired by our discussions today, as well. But yeah, moving on to sustainable consumption and production. Gansham, I see something put in the chat, so really good. Thanks a lot for putting that in there, and obviously we'll go through that as well. So a bit, I noticed your hand up. Is that still up from the last session, or would you like to contribute to this section? Also being mindful as well of people who haven't contributed as much. So if you want to contribute as well, please do. And if you haven't talked as much. So a bit over to you if you want to contribute in this section.
Okay, so sustainable production and consumption, right? So, okay, all right. So actually, it's one of the is sustainable development goal of UN, United Nations. It's the SDG number 12. So what is mean by sustainable production and consumption? So we have to it's a like triple challenge: climate and pollution, loss and damage, and no, it's interconnected with the several others issue, like sustainable design, or resource resource efficiency, and also sustainable transportations, and also sustainable marketing, lifestyle, waste management. So it's like a vast area: sustainable production and consumption. What is the main function of this SDG is we have to think about our current we have to think about our present generation and also the future generation regarding the production of commodities and the consumption also. If I give you example, right now, like some countries, you already from Africa, you are already say that okay, mining is one of the big issue, and they are doing very like huge mining that should not be. We have to think about our next generation, future generations. We should not only have concern about ourselves. If I give another example from my real life experience, is in South Korea. What I happened is a developed country, one of the top economic in the world, top 10. So they have lots of food in their table, but at the end of the meal, they waste it. So what is the sustainability here? They are not concerned. So what I mean to explain is we have to concern the developed country, and also we have to aware the developed country or the peoples, the stakeholders. By this, we will able to manage our consumptions and production in a sustainable way. Over to you, Wasim.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think that's really, really important point that could link obviously agri-food systems as well, and all three in one sense is food loss, and then food waste that you mentioned, which is an issue across the world. But yeah, thanks a lot. And obviously with the World Food Forum, the education track, it's a lot of stuff with the World Food Forum in general that we're working on. Youth-led solutions for transformative action, including food waste being one of them. And we'll share some more information later. But I'm going to come to Yunga, because I know, just apologies for skipping over Nasir and Asimira, but Yunga, you've contributed less, so you didn't contribute to the last section. So I'm going to come to you and sort of come for your contribution here, and then we will come back to perfect Asimira. So yeah, Yunga, over to you.
Okay, thank you. When it comes to sustainable consumption and production, especially in Cameroon, because most of my work I have been really based and also in rural areas, and I really work a lot with rural women. So one of the things that I do is to introduce sustainable ways of crop production, like the reduction of chemical inputs, so as to promote reuse of efficiency, and also to minimize the water generation. So what I really do is how it's developing of local value chains in a more sustainable way, because I believe rural areas are areas that have really been underlooked, and less attention has been paid to them. But when you look at statistics, you see like most of the food that is consumed globally is being almost 60 to 80% of food consumed globally is produced by rural women. So it's really very important that most of these concepts are brought to at the grassroots level. So what I introduce with rural women is the minimize the use of chemical inputs and the introduction of use of natural manures, such as we have like at the rural level, we have households, they keep livestock. So what I do is I encourage rural women to use the dung from livestock and reduce the use of chemicals. And then what I also do at the local level is also I buy like rural household waste, especially food waste, and we have like a warehouse that it's been kept for it to decompose for some time, and we turn it into manure, and then we sell it back to these rural women and they use them. So this is like one of the ways, and then we also encourage a renewable use, renewable energy such as solar. Though it's at the rural level, it's not easy because it's costly to purchase like big solar that can power a house. So we mostly, we still encourage that. And then we also look for we also do like raising awareness about sustainable consumption patterns, such as the reduction of food waste, and also consuming locally produced products, and also adapt more for in plant-based dieting at the rural level.
Great, fantastic. And I know, as Samira has mentioned, the use of manure is sort of a natural fertilizer, and obviously you've got experience as well there, Yunga. So Samira, interested to hear maybe some of your thoughts there as well. But I might quickly just come to Mitten again, because I know you're from a Cameroon perspective, and you might be able to add something on what Yunga just said. So we'll come back to you after this, Nasasira and Asmir. But Mitten, over to you.
Thank you for the Okay, thank you again for the opportunity. And just in line with what
I'm not sure. I've seemed to lose you there, Mitten. I don't know if you can still hear us.
Like at the local level, where it's the use of mostly organic manure to introduce where local farmers use the organic waste to produce compost manure, and also like to introduce
We've seemed to lose your Mitten, so maybe we'll come back to you. So yeah, just conscious of time, we've got 7 minutes left. I see Jean-Paul, you've after joining us as well. So I'm going to come to Nasasira. Jean-Paul, if you'd like to introduce yourself in the chat, please do so. We're sort of coming to our sort of finishing sustainable consumption and production discussion, but please do introduce yourself in the chat. But Nasasira, and be mindful of time, it's over to you.
Thank you so much, moderator. About sustainable food production and consumption, you know, we are talking about producing today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. So in summary, what we are trying to do here in Africa, and it's basically in Uganda, most of our people are illiterate. People don't know how to read, people don't know how to write. So that is the biggest challenge. And the solution we are having for this challenge is mindset change. We are trying to teach people how to do sustainable agricultural production. I am giving you an example. If a farmer has 1 acre of land, an acre can be used for mixed agriculture. Maybe you're having livestock, poultry, and crop farming. You know, manure from livestock or from poultry can be used in 2 crops, or manure from wastes from poultry can be used to feed fish. And that is why I'm developing a climate smart aquaculture model for Uganda. Can be used to feed fish, at the same time used water from fish can be used as a fertilizer for crops. And the other thing is value addition. If we produce excess and we cannot consume it, we should add value so that maybe you have something in stock. In times of drought, in times of famine, we have what to feed on, and maybe we have what to put on market for money exchange. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks a lot, Nasasira. And mindset change, really, really important, but really, really difficult to do. And like I mentioned, with something we focus on for young people, and behavioral change and how we can achieve that or facilitate that. Mitten, if you want to maybe mention your thoughts in the chat, we did lose you through your connection. So if you want to do so there. But I'm going to come to you, Asamira, for this section. We have 5 minutes left, so I may have to stop people if we're running over a little bit of time. But Asamira, over to you on sustainable consumption and production.
Thank you so much. So about sustainable production and consumption, from my views, I think to ensure that there is a sustainable production and consumption, because you're starting with producing and then consuming. So, and you're consuming because you're producing so that you can ensure there is food security in the coming years. So what I can talk about is how can we ensure there is sustainable production and consumption in our country, Uganda, in any other country, in any other continent. I think to ensure that we are producing more in a more sustainable way for the growing population, we also need to look at what practices we are putting in place for these farmers, youth, any other person is adopting too. Are they able to produce and maintain that level? Are they able to produce and reach a level where they can maintain that to feed the generation that is coming up, to feed the population that is growing? Which practices are they putting in place? Then we can also look at regenerative agriculture. Here you're mainly focusing on increasing yields. Yeah, you can use that combination of sustainable production and regenerative agriculture, use the two so that you can be able to produce the population, the growing population. And this also links with the biodiversity of the soil. You're producing, but you also have to put at your mind, you have to also look at the soil. How are you ensuring there is a biodiversity? You're protecting the soil as well, the soil health, the living organisms in the soil. So we have to link from the agro-food, then biodiversity, then production and consumption. Then we also have to look at what collective measures can we put in place to ensure there is production. Okay, if we have 1 acre of a land, if we are using local seed, planting local seed, and we get low yields on that same land, that acre, can we use improved seed this time so that we can get higher yields, so that we can ensure there is a sustainable production for the coming years? Then also,
sorry, Asamir, I'm gonna, just because I know we're running short on time, I do see Jean-Paul has joined us as well. So really, I really do appreciate what you were speaking, especially on soil health, regenerative agriculture. I think it's really important and something that we could talk a lot about. as well for younger, forgot to mention rural women as well. It's really, really important. We could spend so much time just on those topics alone. But I'm sorry, I have to stop you there. But I'm going to give the word to Kurnia Sandy to say some quick note, and then Jean-Paul, if you'd like to introduce yourself afterwards. We are wrapping up. So Kurnia Sandy, maybe 1 minute to you, and then I'll come to Jean-Paul. Samira, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for your time. Sustainable consumption and production. I think we must aware this issue because part of the SDGs. My experience, I am a young farmer and I fly eco-village in the land. It is farming with eco-friendly support to sustainable consumption and production. And I think it's flood mitigation climate change. And it can be referenced from the other people in here. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Kurnia Sandy. And that's gonna, I see you've got a problem with your microphone, Jean-Paul, but please introduce yourself into the chat, where you're coming from, and your background and some of your work, and then something that you want to contribute here. But we're gonna sort of wrap up those dialogues. We will give everybody a chance to speak here. So we've got 10 minutes now on sort of our final words, but also a pledge. So this is something that we do with each Youth Climate Dialogue, and focusing on Earth Day, and in the next coming weeks, what can we do individually on a local scale that can help focus our actions together coming forward over the next few weeks? Maybe agri-food systems, maybe biodiversity loss, or maybe sustainable consumption and production. I know there's so much experience here, so really interested to hear what you have to say. So we got 1 minute per person each. So I'll do a round, and everybody's final words and then one pledge. So I'll go from top left all the way down as I see the screen. So for me, because Asamira, you got your hand up, Asamira, I'm going to pass it back over to you. So 1 minute, a pledge that you are going to do, a local action that you are going to do in the next coming weeks that we can monitor moving forward together. So Asamira, over to you first. 1 minute.
Thank you so much. So what I'm going to do, or what we should do to ensure that there is, I think they will all come in as I speak in my 1 minute. So I'm going to use a second and then I hand over to you. So mainly about sustainable consumption. There is something I didn't talk about. We also have to look at the post-handling techniques that we are using to ensure that there is sustainable consumption. How are we looking after our crops after harvesting? What techniques are we using to ensure that we reduce on the post-harvest losses, so that we can keep that food for the future, ensure there is food security? How are we reducing on the spillage as in transportation? Because you harvest dry, then you're transporting, you end up losing some seeds on the way, they are falling off. Then how can we reduce on that challenge? How can we address that challenge? Then the pests and diseases, what should we do different from what we've been doing? Then also we have to bring in the gender dynamics. Who does the most work on the garden? Who does the farming? Is it the lady? Is it the man? Is it the woman? How can we empower them more? Because usually it is the ladies who do the farming, and then the man comes in at the time of selling so they can get that money. How can we empower the women more so that they can access market, they can access the credit, invest on their farms, they can access the land? Yeah, I think that's all I can do.
Sorry, that's 1 minute. So we're going to give the floor to everybody 1 minute, but empowering, how can we empower women? How can we empower them to have access to land, and empower them to with new technologies? Thank you so much, Asamira. And please, you got a wealth of knowledge, so we're going to share all of your experience with everybody afterwards. So Kurnia Sandy, over to you next. So you've got 1 minute, briefly pledge what you want to do.
Okay, I will do to education and extension. Relate my background is extension, sustainable agriculture extension. To young generation about the important sustainable agriculture, because it is important in the agriculture sector, and climate change also. I think enough. Thank you.
Great, thanks a lot. So working in sustainable agriculture, really look forward to maybe even seeing some photos or images that you can share with all of us on this. So yeah, if we can think of those, how we're going to share it, please do so. So Rufaro, you're up next for your pledge, what you're going to do. Being specific as well. If there's something specific, maybe eating less meat, eating, I don't know, but yeah, anything specific. Over to you, Rufaro. 1 minute.
All right, I'm sorry. I think I lost what you're talking about. I so if you can.
So yeah, so what we're doing now is just a quick wrap up and one pledge, something that you are going to do over the next coming weeks that contributes to Earth Day, that's sort of following on from the discussions that we had. So anything specific, any action that you want to take.
All right. So what I'm planning to do, I'm going to be engaging young people in schools in how we can mitigate the effects of climate change and how we can sustainably use the resources that we have, as well as empowering waste management, because in my country, waste management is too. So I'm going to be teaching them recycling activity, so that we choose this.
Fantastic. So here, waste management workshops. So look forward to seeing what they look like. Thanks a lot, Rufaro. A bit over to you.
Thank you, Oisin. So for the place, actually, definitely I have to, I'm committed to restore the ecosystem in Bangladesh. And that's why I'm in here, South Korea, learn from here and restore in Bangladesh. It's a long term. And for that day and for the tomorrow and always, as always, I try to, I'm committed and I'm pleased that my place is zero waste, and also empower youth, awareness, the youth generation, and also work with the multilateral stakeholders and for the sustainable world. So yes, and also beside that, always think about the climate change when I am adopting or taking on any particular innovation or any steps. So over to you.
Thanks a lot.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm really. I want to add that this part I really love. Thanks for add this place part, and really thank to all for program and also what for or WFF and Young. Over to you.
World Food Forum, World WFP, but based in Rome. So yeah, all working in the same sphere as well. And obviously UNCC Learn, massive part, obviously their initiative as well, these youth climate dialogues. But yeah, hearing empowering youth as one of the next steps. So look forward to that. Yunga, over to you.
Okay, when it comes to pledging to fight against climate change, first of all, it's good news. I think for 3 months now, I have been a vegetarian, and I will continue in that. And then I have always had this initiative in mind, which I wanted to introduce to my universities back home, which is like a Green Day initiative, where I want to bring like universities together to have like a debate on topics related to climate change. I think from now I am more motivated to start this initiative. So that is another pledge. So thank you.
Fantastic. And yeah, even youth climate dialogues amongst university students, similar to what we had today. Look forward to seeing what that might look like. And obviously we can help and this like share resources afterwards with this. So thanks a lot, Younger. So Jean-Paul, I don't know if you can, if you've fixed your mic, are you able to speak, even introduce yourself as well? Or what's a pledge that you want to take? I think there's still an issue with your mic, but please jump on. We're looking forward to hearing from you if you want to use the chat. If not, we can follow up with any resources by email afterwards. Adrita, I'll come to you next. Can you hear us, Adrita?
Yes, can you hear
Perfect.
me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I lost my connection. So yeah, for me, I want to work for this ecosystem restoration and do my part in the conservation of biodiversity. Also, I look forward to taking part in these youth initiatives, and if there are like organizations working in such fields for conservation and all, I would like to involve myself with them and maybe extend their work and help them with their work in my region. So yes, I look forward to that, and also to raise awareness among the people about the related issues. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Adrita. I will be sharing shortly some information about some of our activities that we could, if you're interested, to contribute to. Emmanuel, over to you for your last word, your pledge. And if there's anything specific that you want to achieve or want to do, please share. So briefly, over to you, Emmanuel.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, as of now, we are working on having an organization, a youth movement known as Compassionate Care Network. We have already made our application so that we gain the approval of the government for us to start our activities. And one of our key activity as an organization that we are trying to establish is raising awareness on climate change. And as it is now, we have already put in place a date for us to have a, let me say, workshop, which wherein will be teaching, telling people on the impact of the activities on our climate, and also giving them pictorial evidence of how climate change is affecting not only Sierra Leone, but also other countries. And by so doing, because one thing about my country is the illiteracy level is high. So embracing new technologies is a big problem. So that is again one thing that we are really challenged with. Because if you tell them, they will tell you that this is what we have been doing over the years, and we have been having high yield in production. So why are you trying to bring in new technology again, telling all about? And they will start to say, you young children of nowadays.
Thanks a lot, Emmanuel. I'm gonna have to stop you, but I think what you touched on, digital literacy and literacy in general is still an issue
That's a
in
big
lots of
problem.
parts of the world. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing the outcome of some of those workshops. Nasa Sira will come to you next, and then Mitin, you will have the last word. So Nasa Sira, over to you.
Thank you so much, the moderator. My first pledge is a short-term pledge. Next week, starting from 24th up to Friday next week, we have a biodiversity restoration campaign where we shall be planting 5,000 trees to restore a part of the Bugindi that has been destroyed. So it is a pledge, and I hope to share the results maybe Friday at the same time next week. And my second pledge is to teach and explain people about climate change adaptation and mitigation, and maybe probably my major concern is mitigation. How can I mitigate climate change before the worst gets to the worst? And my last pledge is to teach and extend as an ambassador in Uganda to youth, become a younger ambassador to the youth in Uganda and show them what Yunga is doing and the impacts of Yunga in climate change mitigation and the adaptation globally. And probably together we can achieve a better world, starting with us. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Nasa Sira. Really good to hear you have tree planting, got some workshops, and hopefully an ambassador for Yunga. So yeah, we can obviously share more about that. But yeah, Mitin, really quickly before we sort of wrap up from our side, over to you for your pledge.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. So presently, I'm working on an initiative that focuses on young persons below the age of 15, and the aim is to prepare a next generation, like a present generation, connecting them to the future generation of climate activists, climate advocates. So with this initiative, we're hoping on having competitions, we're hoping on having fellowship seminars, workshop. With this kita, as they're growing up, they know it's our right, it's our duty to protect the climate. Because to me, I believe Earth is every day. So every day you should do something for your Mother Earth. So we're hoping that in the next, I can't wait to start it because it seems very exciting and promising. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point to finish on. That every day we should do something for Mother Earth. Really, really nice. Thanks a lot, Mitten. But yeah, I'm gonna sort of wrap up and thank you everybody for your really interesting, insightful experiences. I've learned a lot, and I look forward to learning a lot more from all of your resources. But I hope you've enjoyed the session. We'll share a little bit more information afterwards, but I'll pass over to Josephina if you want to have a mention on some UNCC Learn resources first. So Josephina, over to you.
Hi everyone, what an interesting youth climate dialogue. There's really so much information, so much experience that we can hear from the different countries, but then there's also one thing that's quite common, that there's a lot of shared experiences, even though everybody's like coming from different parts of the world. So that's been really interesting. And I think for the YCDs, the main point was really to create this space so that people can share experiences, but also to motivate and encourage more local action led by youth. And I think so far with everybody, that's the way that you guys are involved, the knowledge that you have and you want to share. So in order to help you as well with perhaps getting the message out there, having your fellow students and other colleagues join the discussions as well, we have this, Oisin, if you can put the link, maybe the link to the one to the UNCC eLearn platform, because I can't share, yeah?
Yeah.
Where you can access free online courses on green economy and climate change, some of which we will also share specific ones through the email when we send your certificates as well. These ones, for example, the sustainable diet, which is talking about, thinking about where your food comes from, before when you get an apple, where is it coming from? What's the carbon footprint? That's one. Then there's another one on preventing e-waste, for example. So you can, thank you, Oisin. So you can access this freely. It takes less than 5 minutes to sign up if you haven't already. And they are available for free. So there are quite a lot. There's an introductory e-course on climate change. There are others on ecosystem-based adaptation, for example. There are quite a number, but then I can share a list of some of the courses. That the one I was talking about is just the e-waste one. If you just go up a little bit, up again. Yeah, that one with the PCs, how to prevent e-waste. So that one is quite relevant, I think, for the SCP part we just discussed, the last section we discussed. And then there are others as well. I'll encourage you to explore this and then reach out, and we could definitely use that knowledge again for other future youth climate dialogues, and you could use them to hopefully then create some local action as well in your areas. I think that's it from me. We will share a final message in a video, but we'll share the video because of the time as well, which was from a young lady from Zambia. She was quite inspirational. We had, once you get to see the link, the video, she was, at the time she was 15, and we had this recording in one go, and she was so energetic. And hopefully that will encourage you as well to just be that voice and encourage more action as well coming from your side and in your local communities. That being said, Oisin, I think we can wrap up. Thank you. Maybe we can take a screenshot to have a group photo on screen. Are you able to do that, Oisin?
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. So yeah, if you want to
thank you a bit for the suggestion.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so thanks a lot, really, for everybody's insightful discussions. So we'll take a screenshot now. So if everybody wants to put on their cheesiest smile, say youth dialogue, say whatever you want. But we're gonna go in 3, 2, 1, and there we go. So hopefully that's saved. But let me just to make sure that
you
we've
can take
got
a second one just to be safe.
We've
and don't
got
blink.
Yeah, so we've got one there. I'll take another one. So ready? 3, 2, 1. There we go. Amazing. Josephina, any last words before I wrap up?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna send the certificates of participation for everyone individually. I'll send that to you, Asian, so you can send them since you've been in contact with them directly. And then the links to all these courses, there are other additional resources as well from Yunga, from FAO as well, and UNESCO. So we'll encourage you to do that and share them with your colleagues as well. And if you would like to participate in other future Youth Climate Dialogues, you know the link and you know how to sign up. Yeah, I think, yeah, we hope that we can hear from you. I don't know when, to hear how your pledges are going, how you are, how you are creating changes within your communities. I know that this is not the first time and it's not going to be the end, but it would be great to hear how that's going on. And then maybe just a final chat. Maybe, I don't know if Virginia, you're planning to say it, in terms you want to create a WhatsApp group or something to be in touch, do send us your maybe mobile number, or yeah, and then we'll try and create that group. I don't know, we'll still have to decide how we want to do that, but maybe you could tell us ideas if a WhatsApp group is something that's of interest to you, to continue the discussion, because it shouldn't end here. Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Thanks a lot, Josephina. And just briefly, yeah, so I'll send out an email as well to everybody here. And then if you want to set up that WhatsApp group, respond directly to me with your number. Obviously you don't have to, but yeah, if you want to continue those discussions and then we can share experiences there, please do so. So yeah, we'll follow up with an email with everything. We do have some resource packages related to each of the different topics that we touched on, with resources and courses from UNCC Learn, FAO, Yunga, and UNESCO as well. So that will be put forward. But also, yeah, we'll be providing an opportunity to contribute if you're interested in World Food Forum educational activities. So we do have our education track. If you want to be an education champion, please do so. There will be a limited number of spaces available for that, and we will send out more information. But yeah, looking for people to obviously review some of the activities that we have and then propose new activities, and then even sort of implement some activities in your area. So that opportunity is there. And then final word from Yunga. So Yunga is United Youth and United Nations Global Alliance, which is also hosted within FAO. And we do have resources for young people. So if you are, a couple of people mentioned here that they will be empowering youth, delivering workshops. We have resources for those sort of workshops, youth empowerment. So please, we'll send out more information on that you can use to develop these workshops on a range of different topics. So I'll finish there. I'll leave it at that. We will be in touch by email. Thank you all so much for these wonderful conversations, and have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Bye.
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 Yeah.
I think you can close the meeting room.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. See you all.
Thanks. Bye.